Thank you so much. As they're working on beaming the presentation, first of all, on behalf of Real Estate Talk, allow me to express my gratitude to Minister of Lands, Honorable Deus Gumba, the Principal Secretary for Minister of Lands, Surveyor Dave Chilonga, the two commissioners from Minister of Lands, Commissioner Tembo and Commissioner Lucas, fellow speakers from the private sector, the Vice President of Surveyors Institute of Malawi, Surveyor Alice Gudiza, and Surveyor Prince Machika. I also extend my appreciation to the audience for sparing your time to be present for this webinar. Our core primary objective has been to give you the right information so that you make the right decisions back home. In every aspect of real estate decision that you're making, you want to make sure that you make the right decision. That's why we have the aspect of the legal framework from the Minister of Lands, the surveyors, and then the private sector. It's high time we try to give back people the right information, give people the platform where they can understand legal aspect of land issues and then the aspect of investments. That's the core essence of this. Now, my presentation would focus on the investment aspect. So we'll try to start with the highest and best use concept on how you can maximize investment returns. This is an aspect of you want to invest in real estate back home. However, the kind of real estate that you invest in back home, how would you be able to maximize your returns in that kind of investment that you've chosen? That's why we started with the legal framework, understanding that you need titles over your land, over your investment. You also need to do due diligence. And then now we're on the aspect of financial aspect. How do you maximize returns? Next slide. Now, there are a number of investment opportunities back home that you might consider to venture in. There is one, we look into agricultural real estate. I'll provide you a case study about Zathu farm, an investment strategy on how you can utilize the agribusiness and then diversify into real estate. If there are people in the diaspora who would love to conduct the agribusiness aspect. And then we'll also talk of commercial real estate. I'll give you case studies as well. Commissioner talked of government planning to allocate commercial and industrial development plots for development. We'll also talk of residential real estate. I'll give you case studies based on the market. How is the market performing? What are the trends? And then how best you can decide as an investor. Next slide. Now, let's start with the agribusiness investment opportunity. Let's look at the Zathu Invest scheme as a case study. Now, Zathu Invest scheme is a team of individuals, a team of people who collectively come together to invest in farming as an investment opportunity. So they decide as a team to invest in farming for different types of crops. For instance, they would invest in Zathu maize, Zathu rice, Zathu Irish potatoes. As I said initially, the main objective is at some point, as you're working as a team, you should be able to diversify into real estate. So this strategy shows you how you can diversify from agribusiness, that is Zathu investment scheme, into real estate aspect. Next slide. So as a Zathu investment scheme, as a crowdfunding strategy, what they're doing is they invest together as a team, collectively. So there is a plan that you're supposed to do as a team. You're not just investing, you're investing with the plans, objectives that you need to achieve in each and every year. So in first year, we plant our crops. For instance, if we're planting maize, we need to understand the active scheme for that year, that is Zathu Farm. If you check the box, we've got here, active scheme, product type, land size, capital target, production target, target market, projected yield. This plan is a brief plan. There is a lot involved, but we're just giving you an overview of understanding this type of investment opportunity that you might consider as well, either investing as a team or investing as yourself. First year, you invest in crop production. Let's say as a team, you've got 50 to 100 hectares that you manage to acquire 50 to 100 hectares. Your target capital, you punch in the capital. Let's say in this case, we are assuming it's 192,250,000. Your production target is 10,000 bags for that year. Your target market is urban centers. So you should be able to have projected yield within that year. So as a team, you know initially what you are going to achieve and how you're going to do that. Second year as well, you do the same, but with an objective to increase from what you used to have last year. After the second year, your plan is to not just farm or not just to do the crops. You need to initiate value addition concept for the products that you're producing, crops that you're producing. How would you initiate value addition? So in year 2, you do a review. The team does a review. After they do the review, they see how best they can proceed. Third year, likewise, you plan to increase the land sizes so that your capacity of production can also increase. Fourth year and fifth year, the same. Now, as a team, after you've done all these strategies, you understand that the market trends are changing, technologies is changing, but you also have a goal to invest in real estate at some point with the monies that you're making from production of crops. Year 5, you do a strategy review to incorporate what has changed over the years. So in this years, when you start now initiate procurement of other farms in other districts, you extend. Or that's when you start now procurement of machines for the production of the crops that you're doing. And then when you go into year 6, you repeat the same processes until you follow the plan. So this is just a brief overview of the plan, how you can go and how you can take this type of investment. Next slide. Now, the investment, all things being equal, that you've chosen, you need to understand the operation cost, yield, profit per hectare. So this is just giving you an overview of, in case you're doing production of maize, what it would take you to take a 1 hectare production. So these are the steps, activities that might be involved, land preparation, harrowing, up to storage, administrative cost. Now, when you've done all the projected cost for the production, which in this case, it gives us 1,524,500. Your aim is to produce 120 bags of maize per hectare, which you're projecting that you'd sell at 40,000 per bag. That gives you 4,800,000 per hectare. Gives you 4,800,000 per hectare. Now, when you take out the cost, the initial cost that you use, you might be able to have a profit of an approximately 3.2 million. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, understand that this is a strategy that we're using from agribusiness, but with an objective to say, let's say in the next 3, 4, or 5 years, we should be able to invest as a team in real estate, or we should be able to invest as a team after 6 years in real estate. How could we do this strategy practically so that we could be able to achieve that? So the team is supposed to have the management policy of the proceeds that you're making from the production. So in this case, for Zathu farms, what we've done is, what we're doing for the strategy is we have shared the percentages in terms of the profit that we're making. So 5% of the proceeds goes back to buying of land in different districts. 20% is reinvested into Zathu farms to boost the capital. 20% reserved for procurement of machines. You remember at some point we would need to have our own machines, our own tractors, our own machines. And then 20% injected. Technical team, can you please check? Technical team. Technical team, can you please check? Thank you. No, go back, go back. Go back. Thank you. So the 20% you inject back to buying extra land for Zathu farms, and then you reserve 15% for contingencies, for things that are unforeseen for the strategy that you have at hand. That's how you proceed with how you take care of the shares in that strategy for 5 to 10 years. Next slide. Now, why should you consider investing in Zathu scheme, or why should you consider investing in such kind of schemes? You know, as a country, Malawi, population keeps on growing. We are growing in millions each and every year. And then there is limited food supply, there is limited housing provision. So it is high time we start thinking as a country, or as citizens of the country, to say, can we now start investing in production of crops as a team? And then we diversify with time into production of houses or construction of houses. So that should be able to entice you to say, I should be part of the team that are advancing such kind of investments. So the demand keeps on growing every day, but limited supply, and then we've got a deficit which need to be cared for. That should be enough point for you to be enticed to invest in agribusiness and then diversifying into real estate. Next slide. Again, another reason why you should embrace the Zathu aspect of strategy is understanding that we are nothing without each other. It is high time we start collaborating, having collective efforts on how we can invest together. The moment we start having those kind of efforts as a team, will ensure that the economic development of the country, or as individuals, as teams, they are shifting each and every passing day, because we all owe the nation that safe, not service. However, as we're doing that as a team, we're not only eradicating hunger when investing in agribusiness, we're also creating jobs, opportunities, and developing the country at large. That's the main primary thing that we're also trying to advocate. Next slide. Now, what are the phases that you might consider in Zathu invest to build, in Zathu schemes? The previous speakers have talked of the legal aspect. You need titles, you need due diligence. So in this scheme as well, in this kind of investment opportunity, you would need to identify suitable sites where you do the productions. You need to procure those sites as a team. And then the legal aspect, tenure security, where you need to register the land, to have title over the land. That's where the Minister of Lands would come in to assist. And then the due diligence would come in to be assisted. And then you initiate Zathu Invest Initiative commences. Now, if you check here, you'll see that Zathu Invest Initiative commences after you've done the due diligence, after you've done the legal framework, obtaining the titles, or you are in the process of obtaining titles. So when you're initiating the investment, you are assured that you're investing your monies, your funds, your finances in the right project. And then it commences to supervision of the projects within the scheduled time, and then completion of projects within the scheduled time. And then at the end of the 10-year or 5-year that you have, you should be able to understand that you've built some houses or you've built some shops as a team. Next slide. Now, after exploring the agribusiness and then how you can diversify into housing, let's now explore the commercial real estate. What I'll present here is an overview of giving you the market insights so that you can understand how hotels are performing back home, in case there are those who are considering to invest in hotels. So the aspect that I'll give here is from an understanding of feasibility studies. So it's just a general overview. So in hotels back home, let me give you a case study of Lilongwe. We have got demand. You have to invest in hotels with understanding of the demand at hand, and then with the future aspect of how the demand will trend back home here. So according to our observations and then our analysis through our feasibility studies, we have observed that in hotels, we've got three types of demand back home here. We've got commercial or corporate demand segment. These are commercial travelers who visit Lilongwe for business purposes. And we've observed that most of them, they spend one night for business transactions or for functions or for meetings. And then this kind of demand is mainly facilitated during Sunday and Thursday nights. So they come on Sundays, they do meetings on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and then they leave by Thursdays. The typical duration for most of them is 1 to 3 days. And then because the type of occupancy is mostly one person for business function, traveling maybe from Blantyre, from Zuzu to Lilongwe for business function. Or they would come as a group when they have got an assignment in a certain remote area within Lilongwe. So they would lodge within the city and travel to the assignment site, and then they travel back to where they're lodging. So we have that type of demand. It's crucial to understand that. And then next slide. The other type of demand that we have in terms of hotels are meetings or group demand segment. This segment includes corporate groups, associations, NGOs, religious groups, and we've observed that these are travelers who occupy 5 or more rooms at a given night, on a given night. These are cases where companies host meetings, host workshops within the city, which are patronized by stakeholders from different locations. So you create a group demand segment for that. Or religious groups, they host their functions within the city. They create demand within weekends time for that. Next slide. And then we've got what we call leisure demand segment. This demand reflects those who are traveling just for leisure and for vacations. For non-commercial related travelers, they are just traveling to cities for leisure aspect. So this type of demand is typically attracted by hotel location in relative to attractions, and usually during weekdays. Now, why we are giving you the context of demand is when you are investing, from the feasibility understanding of things, when you're investing, you should be able to know that the property that you're putting up, it will generate you returns according to understanding of demand that exists. So in this case, the summary that we have for hotels in general performance is the anchor segment of the hotel business back home is estimated market cover of 65%. That is covered by the corporate individual market segment, which is followed by the corporate groups, churches, NGOs at 20%, and then the other segment covers about 15%. So when you're deciding to invest, you are sure that this is the type of demand that you have in the market. Next slide. After understanding the demand, I just wanted to give you an overview of understanding how are hotels performing in general aspect. So this is an overview of a hotel revenue. This does not represent any hotel in town. It is just the actual rates, some of the rates that are being used. So I wanted you to understand from this that if you use these kind of rates, this is how much you'd make, and then what's the expected returns that you can have. Now, if you look at the type of rooms, we have got room A, type B, type C, type D. And then the average room rate, 110,000, 90,000, 150, 130. Total number of rooms is giving us the numbers of rooms, number of days that represent 30 days, number of months represent the months that we have in a year. And then when you check at the annual income, that reflects how much you would make for room A when you have 100% occupancy. Now, understanding that we cannot have 100% occupancy, that's why we use the market demand to understand that how much could be achieved on market. So in this case, we have got 55%, which is achievable on the market. That represents 0.55%. From all the revenue that you'd make from this aspect, you are getting 0.55%, 0.55. So at the end, it gives you from all the rooms, from all the types of rooms, how much you'd make. So in this case, you're making 960,300,000 annually. You would also have an aspect of conference rooms in your hotel, depending on the capacities that you choose in case you're deciding to invest in hotels. Let's say you're investing for rooms that are covering 120 people, others are covering 80, others are covering 50. It also reflects the revenue that you'd make in a year, but not at 100% occupancy rate, at 45%. So if the market accepts to say the market operate at 45%, you should be able to make 810 million per year. And then you also can have restaurants and bar in that hotel. So it also gives an overview of how much you can make at 45% occupancy rate. It's giving you 129,600,000 per year. Now, that's the whole aspect of you having that kind of hotel, and then the businesses, how it's operating, how much you can make. So the total accounts to 1.8 billion. However, the expenses that are involved, which you incur, the wages involved for employees, the certain services that you have to pay for, that accounts to 35%. So the 35%, you take it out from the revenue, annual revenue that you've made, you're coming up with 1.2 billion. That is giving you an overview of, in case you decide to invest in hotels back home, all things being equal, that's how you can manage to maximize your returns. Next slide. Now let's explore performances of shopping malls. How are shopping malls performing back home? Now the trends of the shopping malls, the market is changing. The preferences of the market, the consumers, is shifting. That is why we are giving a presentation like this one to avoid the mistakes that other investors have done before, to give you a clear picture of what is happening so that you make an informed decision. What we have observed is people come up with shopping malls, they put up sizes of shopping malls, let's say a size of 10 by 8, which is 80 square meters. And then the rentals they're charging for that 80 square meters are too high for entrepreneurs to afford. So you find that an investor has put up a shopping mall, but it's not being occupied. Why? They invested without understanding the demand preferences and then how time is changing. So it is very crucial to understand, with increased exposure to global trends, growing demand for one-stop shopping environments that combine retail, entertainment, and dining, especially among young professionals. Next slide. So this also is just a performance assessment that shows you to what extent hotels performing back home. So this shopping malls, this shopping mall has got about 24 rooms, and then they're charged according to those rates. So in brief, they are making about 21,957,000 per month. which accumulate to 263,484,000 annually. Next slide. Now, let's talk about residential real estate as another investment opportunity that you might consider to invest back home. However, the concept does not change. When you're investing, consider the type of demand that exists back home. So in this case, according to our observations, according to our market analysis, we've observed that there are three types of demand in terms of residentials. There's high income segment, there's middle income segment, there's lower income segment. And then the high income segment, the business executive, expatriates, government officials, which features high-end properties, luxurious homes, modern amenities, and layouts, for instance, in Area 43. The middle income, these are mid-level professionals, government workers, business owners. They're just looking for comfortable homes, often with standard amenities in Area 25, Area 18, and part of Area 47. And then we've got the lower income, which are just looking at budgetary-friendly housing, the basic houses in Area 36 and in Chilinde. Next slide. Now, what is happening on the market currently is the high income segment is taking the market share of close to 25% approximately. And then these are individuals that their salaries are within the range of 1 to 15 million. This should give you an overview as an investor to say, if I'm going for high income segment, if I'm putting up a property that covers this type of segment, I should be able to know that their salaries ranges within this to this aspect. And then from their salaries, their rent ranges from 800 to 4 million. Likewise, the middle income segment, the market share that they're taking is close approximately to 55%. And then these in close to 400,000 to 1 million, their salaries. And then they're able to pay rentals between 200 to 400,000. The lower income segment, they're taking approximately to 20% market share. And then their salaries, their income ranges between 80,000 to 400,000. They're able to pay between 50,000 kwacha to 150,000. Now, why are we doing this? To give you this kind of analysis is you should be able to understand with cases back home where properties are ranging from 800 to 4 million. They have been put on the market. They're not being occupied because the effective demand, which is present, it covers within the range of income, middle income segment. So this should give an insight to an investor to say, for you to be secured enough of your investment, you might be able to consider which kind of segment is your target according to how market is performing back home. Next slide. Now, that was about in terms of rental market that you are building, you are constructing so that you put your your houses on the market for rentals. Now, let's say you are constructing with an objective to sell. It is also ideal to understand that the income that these market have, will they be able to purchase or to acquire the property that you've put on the market? Currently, I can tell you we have properties on the market that have been on the market for a long time. They're not being acquired. They're not being purchased. Why is that so? It's because the prices goes beyond the effective demand that exists. So that should give us a picture to say, how best do we move from this? How best do we move forward as a country or as individual investors or as everyone who is invested to invest in real estate? The best way is to move forward by understanding the market dynamics, the market trends. That will also help you to maximize your returns in the investment that you've chosen. Next slide. Now, how do we also solve the housing provision that we have, the deficit that exists on the market as investors? How best can you consider to invest? The first option that I would propose, or that I've proposed to a number of investors, is consider an investment aspect to design, build up to window level, and then sell. Why should you do that? As I said, the understanding is the market that we have, the effective market which can purchase or acquire that property. The middle income market that we have, the people that are ranging purchasing power, their purchasing power is within 40 to 150 million. So if you put up a residential house at a window level and then you decide to say, I'll sell to prospective buyers at 20 to 25 million or 20 to 30 million, 20 to 40 million, you will be assured that that kind of investment, it will be purchased on the market. Again, you can consider on the sale to put in installment measures to say you have constructed the house, you're charging it 40 million, you give them an installment measure to say you pay half in 4 months, the other half you finish in 4 months. The moment you're getting the half as a team, let's say you're investing as a team, you're getting that money or that finance, that fund, you are constructing other houses somewhere. So you keep on doing that with the investment strategy that you can put on the table. The other aspect that I've been advising investors to consider is teaming up to embrace sectional title developments. Commissioner Lucas stated that the government currently, they're advancing the introduction of sectional titles back home in Malawi, which gives us or investors an opportunity to invest in complex houses or complex flats. And then the individual flats will be able to obtain titles over that section. This is an opportunity for investors to embrace, to team up, to invest in such kind of investments. And then you can decide to say, once we invest, we register titles over each and every section, each and every special house, special space. You could be able to sell at an affordable price to prospective buyers. So this is a very great opportunity for investors to consider as well. The sectional title changes the real estate perspective back home, and it is a good aspect that you need to consider as well. The other aspect is point number 3, which only reflect on the demand which exists back home in terms of in majority, as I said, most of the people that would be able to acquire properties, their finances ranges between 40 to 150 million. Within these ranges, properties get transacted within a good time, at a good time. So if you'd consider to invest as well in 2-bedroom houses, you put them on market for rentals or you'd put on market for sales, you would be able to maximize your returns in a good way. Next slide. So reaching this far, what I've provided is the just general overview from which aspect as an investor, individual or as a team, you can decide to embrace and invest in the opportunity that exists back home. So from the agribusiness to commercial properties to shopping malls to residential properties, that's what I can provide in brief about the market aspect back home. Thank you so much, Gift.